What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rob, and I'm back for yet another reaction video. So, this time around, I'm finally doing it. After probably a year of waiting, a year of just putting it off, and just annoying stuff. Just finally doing it. This is Akala Visions. And this particular video is just complex. Just in terms of how I was going to go about it. I was debating on whether or not I was going to do just a reaction of the Fire in the Booth or a reaction of the individual the individual videos themselves, because this is a rap comic book, which is just insane to think of itself. Like, what is that even going to be like? But ultimately, here's what I decided. I decided I'm going to go with the Fire in the Booth. Just because doing the other videos themselves would probably result in a copyright strike and copyright infringement on my channel, and I just can't risk that. So I'm sticking with the Fire in the Booth just because I haven't ever gotten a copyright strike through them, and I think that's just going to work out better for me just in the long run. And hopefully I can try to analyze it as best I can, and in my own personal time I'll go and check out the actual comics book themselves, the actual video comics themselves. So before we jump into this, we got two people who in particular who I want to give a shout out to on this video. First off, we got Brian Harkin. Again, we got Brian Harkin. And next we got Twain Nell. Again, that's Twain Nell. So, to Brian Harkin and Twain Nell, I think you both are subscribers. I think you are. But to just everybody else, just in general, that's checking out this video for the first time, if you're checking out my channel for the first time, please check out other videos that you think you might like on my channel. And when you do get around to checking out those videos, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate the love and support you guys throw my way. And as always, if you have a video you want me to check out, please put the name of that specific video down in the comment section below, and I can get around to checking it out. I'll be sure to give you a shout out and put your name up on my screen, just like I did these two subscribers right here. So that's what I gotta say on that really quick. In general, I wasted too much time, so you know what? This is a 22-minute video. Let's just jump right on in without wasting any more time. Alright, Akala Visions. We're finally doing it, y'all. Kicking the sucker off in 3, 2, 1, and click.
An extra.
Right now, I'm joined in the studio by some real hip-hop royalty from the UK, man. Someone who has consistently delivered for the last decade.
Yep.
And he's here tonight to bring some goodness to the soul. Make some noise in the studio for man like Akala! What's happening, my G? How are you, bro?
I can't complain at all, I've been a busy lad,
You've been a very, very, very busy lad, Akala.
I have been.
So we are getting into this live performance, the first part.
First part, chapters 1 to 3.
Wow.
It's 5 chapters, it's not songs.
This is mad, bro.
It's chapters.
1 to 3.
So let me get this right.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yes.
Alright.
Translates to the songs.
It's exactly the same. So the whole comic book is written in verse. So exactly what people are about to hear me perform
is
the exact story that's in the comic, which you can get from my website, by the way, akalamusic.com. I know you're not supposed to advertise on the
check that out.
Whatever. Now you can, I can't.
I say it.
Alright, bro.
Yes.
Are we ready for this?
We are ready.
Remember,
I
we're
thought
streaming
there was
live
only
on the
just
1H
4.
website,
There's introduction, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait,
bbc.co.uk/1H. Come and watch the team get involved.
We'll see.
811-99 on the text line.
Visions.
Akala is in the building. We got some exclusive stuff for you right now. You ready for this, bro?
I'm ready, bro. Ready.
Let's get it.
Last night I did a rare thing. Last night I sat down to watch television. The news burned breaches into my brain. Apparently, bombs bring democracy and some cultures benefit from the scalding of their children's flesh. The civilization spreading lobby, leaking lies, scripted as show business from murders. Mouthpiece. I'm used to this fuckery. Numb now. Perhaps I am a coward or a bastard or both. My Colton calls. I laugh the awkward laugh of an arsehole who thinks this world can improve but still can't reconcile my love of humanity with my consumption of death. I change the channel and Huxley replaces Orwell. Some semblance of flesh, world famous for being famous, takes her dog for a day spa. I shit you not. Manicures and massages for dogs, pets pampered while people starve. My cotton calls again. I'm not so moral after all. I switched to the channels that once played a thing called music. You'll never guess what I saw. Champagne, fast cars, just bitches and bikinis. I mean, how did these genius directors come up with such original ideas? A rage attacks my throat, threatening to howl scorched words at the screen. I remember that I'm alone and that would be weird, so I mutter to myself instead. But no, the rage is determined to have its way. Streams of images, brutalized bodies, dead babies, reruns of televised wars, a sick Groundhog Day, eat shit soap to which I've been subjected. Smoke but no mirror, circus but no bread. I snap. The cast iron teapot, the one I usually pompously pour from with my mates that like poetry and think ourselves to be sophisticated, finds my hand. The rage launches this piece of metal earth and shatters into 1,000 shards. The curtain that conceals my revealing. The telly is fucked. I breathe a sigh of satisfaction, and in that instant, I am taken again. Visions.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Visions. I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Visions. Call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. Visions. I'm sure that you get them too, but do you ignore visions? Visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too. Allow me to paint the picture. Though my brush don't touch no paint, still it's vivid, the lyric etched in memory, sketched by this pen of me, inseparable like any success and the frenemies. In the 8th year of this lifetime, my comfort was disturbed by a presence not quite mine. I remember in patches, my bloody head covered in matches. How did it happen? Too young, but also playing in matches when the bullies of my cousin's estate, they confiscated the object of every young boy's dream. I felt hatred, let them take it now. I wasn't like that, cause mommy told me early I should always fight back, so attack is what I did. Stupid little kid. How does a bigger, stronger boy deal with the punch in the ribs? He picked me up by my feet, bang my head on the streets, concrete multiple times till blood started to leak from the wound. The wound that he came from. Some old lady shouted that she knew what she would say something, so he dropped me to the floor conscious. I ain't sure if consciousness could adequately describe what I saw. Visions, visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too, but do you ignore? I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too.
At 8 years old.
Lying there with a bloody head, feeling half dead. I don't know if I blacked out or maybe I was just dreaming. Who knows the meaning, but I'll tell you the facts now. Saw me, ball kicking, off for the future Premier League with him. So clear, as if it did take place now, while I was there face down. Another thing that I couldn't make out, me on the stage, strange crowd, woke up in the hospital. My cousin told me concussion, and couple stitches in the back of my head. Said in the night and it taught me something. That day forward I started training all on my own, even days it was raining. Practice harder, even slept in my boots. Yeah, I was one of those youths. Mom got sicker, hair got thinner. Just kicked ball with men and missed dinner, but the temper also got thinner. Feeling the stress of a house without breadwinner. 1 year later I signed for West Ham without no trial. What's the next plan? Visited by visions, hardest to describe. You could call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions, we're calling them visions, but they are something more. Visions, I'm sure that you get them too, but do you ignore? Practice harder, even slept in my boots. Yeah, I was one of the Zeus. Mom got sicker, hair got thinner. Just kicked ball with men and missed dinner, but my temper also got thinner. Feeling the stress of a house without a breadwinner. 1 year later I signed for West Ham without no trial. What's the next plan? Hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. Calling them visions, but they are something more. Sure that you get them too, but do you ignore? Visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. Calling them visions, but they are something more. Sure that you get them too, but do you ignore? Visions.
So is that part one? Was that introduction where he was doing the acapella, and then now was part one? Now we're going into part 2.
Yo, listen. Visions. Yo, listen.
Like a trance almost. Like trying to hypnotize you, you know?
Visions.
Reminds me of like the little snake charmers. Play that flute, like.
These times I still play, but I've lost my discipline, lost my innocence. I'm right in the thick of it. Bar-led, screw face, jeans that never knew waste, all silver AV. Tim's, course they ain't laced. Gassed off a mob deep thoughts, suppress them. Cause hunger breeds aggression, not reflection on the lesson. Go get them. Was the message on the end of the phone when it was 6 man crowded in my brethren's home? There's a free meal cooking just over the road, and I was not over the road, still thinking overly cold. There lives a man of many hustles, tax free. My boy said help me get the cash and the straps free, act free. It's a stage, this world that we play, the play get a girl to bell him to say hey, cause when there's a chance to get laid, man's brains go out the window, brains go out the window. I'm feeling strange watching this frame from out the window. Soon as he was far enough away from the house, we ran down the stairs and took position in the garden bushes hidden. Pop the clipping, belly over the face. This cold metal we gripping in the palm of the hand. Is power in this world we live in, part of the plan is to scour my whole field of vision. I see my other brothers watching from the window, taste the adrenaline in my mouth, cold sweat, pimples. I can hear footsteps coming like I'm surrounded. Is that really footsteps or just my heart pounding? Visited by visions hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions. Too late. The victim bust the corner, came into the garden, got to the front door and never even saw us. I waited for the perfect moment when the door was slightly open. Ran up on his back quick and let the metal poke him. Boy took it further and clapped him with the back of the ting. Tried to push him in the yard so we could capture him, but you could not factor in. Fear is such a natural thing. Once it kicks in, you could never control the panic. And the scream he let out was so much louder than a siren. We're less than half a mile from the station. Are we facing time and make a decision? It's those definitely piercing. Neighbors looking out of their windows, racing suspicion. Look back at this brother as I grabbed him by the scruff of his neck. What happens next you could never expect. As I looked into the screaming mind's terrorized eyes, something happened so unusual. I could see the entire universe through his pupil. It was so beautiful, by far the clearest vision I'd had, but so confusing too. Time stopped, eternity trapped in a single second, as if everything that could be known was a single lesson. I'm guessing, cause words is not an adequate set of tools, even in the hands of this master, to explain it. My body disappeared and there was no rules. Every moment thought, star and explosion was contained in the iris of this man we wanted to rob, who himself was a robber too, but now both of us gods. Cause from an eye to an eye we created the world. Just as I grasped the truth, then along came hell. All I could feel was pain and murder, aiming at everything in person. I was both the killer and killed. I can't explain it further. Visions.
Damn, that's way darker and grittier than I was expecting this guy to ever be. Wow.
Visions.
Wow. Is a story.
Wow.
Chapters 1 to 3.
Wow.
Visions. Comic book EP.
Make some noise for Akala in the
That's
studio.
1 to 3. Alright.
Wow. Let me tell you, that was something else, bro. It's One Extra Radio 1 Saturday Night Rap Show Shedington season. Akala is about to jump into chapter 4 and 5 of Visions.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Alright, so it's probably...
Yo. Visions. Yo. Listen. Visions. Then I snapped out of the vision. Couldn't remember where I was, shit took me a minute. All I could hear was sirens ringing. Why am I stood here with this pistol gripping? Brethren pulling on my shirt and screaming to run. I don't know why I should come. My legs moved anyway. Ran across the high road, back to the block. In his flat, close the blindfold. We're safe now. It's a state where you don't go. Ain't nobody gonna talk to the popo. Couple man ballets on their face, gas on their waist. Shh, ain't no tell to relate. I knew right there I was faking the pavement. I was destined for stages and pages. The inspiration that I came with, I can't explain it. You probably think I created. Common comes through. I just conduct it, practice my then put the trust in energy. From the visions that I have seen, like a dream, but a much more vivid scene. Energy from the visions that dwell in me. Provide a guide as if it was a spell in me. Inevitably, though, we all put them secretary. Gotta follow the path to overcome the lethargy. Done all this, kept my integrity, spat the same politics. Ooh, ain't legendary. Yeah, right. That brings us back to last night. Visions. Final chapter.
Split.
Visions
or...
EP.
Yeah.
Out next Friday.
Okay.
A comic book EP. Listen. Here we go.
If that's the case, step 4 was nothing. 4 is okay. The music is just super, super trippy. Like, this reminds me of something you almost hear like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, almost. But with like an Arabian Nights sort of swing to it. Like, just listen to it. It's like...
Yo. Listen.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just has that feel to it, that twang. Alright, there you go.
Yo. Listen. As I stared into the shattered shards of glass, I could see the past and grasp the vast entire history of the rhyming art. The last of the great griots of Timbuktu, memorizing secret histories, propaganda and truth. The ones considered too important to be written, they memorized it and rhymed it the earliest form of spitting. They spat it and sang it and played it upon the core of the drums. We're talking to, but some chose to ignore it. Most griots praised the ruler, a few foretold a future where the corruption that would come into the kingdom would consume it. Rejected the new religion, called it a mental prison, prophesied the worst conquerors coming and taking children. Of course they were ignored and banished, the court with a sword and vanquished, like all truth tellers throughout history, but they never vanished. Made it through the middle passage, never gave up the habit, passing on the stories and traditions so that we could have it. I saw as clear as day a griot trapped beneath the deck, buried in piss, shit and vomit up into his neck, lying shackled next to his younger sister, already dead. A rotten corpse don't even smell no more cause he has lost the sense. Still we sung the song of the warrior, giving heart to all the others, trapped, rebellion ready to start. That is art, that's poems that bleed, songs mold history, the greatest gift ever given, the true mystery. Even when the drum was outlawed on the plantation, she kept beating it and singing in secret and maintaining. I could see the start of the Haitians in revolution, and what did they start it with? Invocations and music. I saw Bookman read his poem over drum. Don't we call that rapping? Calling on the ancestors to help him make it happen. I could see Congo Square in 1895 when Reconstruction was crushed and the struggle then to survive. But the drum beat and the songs was not defeated. What this created they now call jazz, but don't believe it. It's just another continuum in our tradition of our collective genius, whatever is our condition. Visions, I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore visions. I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. Sure that you get them too. I could hear the Delta blues sung by sharecroppers, or maybe it was the Malian blues from centuries before. I could not decide, the vibe was so similar. Was seeing without eyes, my mind was the cinema. Multiple dimensions at once, and a million narratives. The joy of creating when what you're facing is so harrowing. Glass showed to me this hologram hallucination, evolution of the MC from so many different nations. I could hear the barbershop quartets of street corner preachers, poets of the Harlem Renaissance, some of the greatest teachers. I saw Marcus Garvey speaking far from calmly, rhythm and passion of a general commanding half his army. I could see Cap Calloway composing dictionaries of slang, doing early versions of the moonwalk, talking to his band, Mr. Duke Elliott, and composing Ella Scat and Howlin' Wolf pulled his trap on execs. They tried to scam him. I could hear Memphis Mini or Rosetta Tharp plucking the strings of guitar like it's a griot's harp. I could hear Miles or Charlie Parker coming up, but after Muhammad Ali spitting the rhyme to make us cry with laughter. I could see X-Tempo and Trinidad looking like a battle. Jamaicans covering blues before reggae was channeled. I saw my grandmother coming across the ocean in the opposite direction from where ancestors were stolen, bringing these traditions to Britain with 100,000 others. Lost is the child of the art that forsakes his mothers. I saw Cool Herc also leaving Jamaica, taking the sound system to the Bronx, waking the neighbors. Visions. It's all in them visions.
Come back full circle.
It's all in them visions.
I get it. I get it.
It's all in them. What?
Come back
I saw
full
Gil
circle.
Scott, Heaven Lost Poets and Watts, Prophets, U-Roy. Big Youth, all the early toasters was on it. I saw Tupac, born in a cell. His whole life flashed before me, and I'm sure you could tell his mission was uncompleted, cause his message went unheeded. To get all youth, only powerful leader that we're in need of. Also Bounty Killer, Super Cat, Ninja Man and Yellow, Smiley Culture, London Posse, Skinny Man and Mellow. I saw Cool G, Big Daddy Kane and KRS, Big L, Big Pun and Biggie then laid to rest. I saw every legend that I've neglected to mention, and every legend that I've never heard of resting in heaven, whatever you wanna call it, wherever spirit you're born with. Rest after the rest of the flesh returns to the soil. And I could see myself standing here, just a link in a chain that goes back centuries further than you think. It was clear to me I'm a vessel and not a more. Yeah, the cup is half full, I ain't got a clue who pours. And I could feel the time was not real, and the way we're sold that everything that's ever occurred is here in this present moment. So it matters not what the media wanna sell us. Who don't understand it's culture, just products they wanna sell us. And it matters not half of the planet's never heard of me. These rappers rap bars, I write portions of eternity. Visions. Visions.
Ooh.
Hardest to describe.
I rap portions of eternity.
If I live to old age, or they should murder me, I gotta keep writing. It's so much bigger than me personally. I felt exhausted and energized, tired and awake. A whole nother place in my mental state. After such an epic journey, I couldn't sleep. I stayed up the whole night, and this is what I write. I put the pen down at first light. I knew the lyrics off by heart already, as if I wrote them before in another life. And it was clear to me my contemporaries ain't contemporaries. I'm from another century. Seems that I was meant to be. Griot the MC, the people storyteller. From the palace to the village, to the ship to city dwellers. Felt the visions guide me those times I was moving blindly, and how they take my life up to this point where you now find me. Whether you're living grimy, you're trapped by the current climate, the visions will always guide you, bro. You just gotta decide if you follow what you know. What's inside your very soul will be distracted by the 10,000 things that they promote. All this I understood just from the shattered glass. Looked up at the clock, time passed so fast. I swept up the glass from the floor and went about my day, and came here to tell this story. Here is what I say. Visions, I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Visions, call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions, we're calling them visions, but they are something more. Visions, I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. Visions, I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Call it my intuition, internal guide. We're calling them visions, but they are something more. I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. Visions. Visions. It's all in them visions. Visions. It's all in them visions. It's all in them. It's all in them. It's all in them visions. Visions. Visions, call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions, calling them visions, but they are something more. Visions, I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. Visions, I'm visited by visions, hardest to describe. Visions, call it my intuition, internal guide. Visions, calling them visions, but they are something more. Visions, I'm sure that you get them too, but that you ignore. Visions.
Wow. Make some noise for Akala in the studio, yo!
Big up.
One extra.
Holy crap. Dude. Dude. Oh. This guy. Oh my god. For like half, it's a 22-minute long video. For half the video, I'm just sitting there like, because there's so much to unpack. It's just so, dude, that was insane. Oh, dude. Okay. Full disclaimer. Full disclaimer out there ahead. I'm going to make my best attempt at trying to decipher this. But in all seriousness, I probably am seeing this thing through a keyhole. I'm probably seeing and understanding and internalizing a fraction of what this guy was trying to unload and trying to convey and trying to just explain. But this is my channel. Y'all know me. Y'all know what I try to do on this channel. I'm going to try my best, y'all. I'm going to try my best. Let's try to dig into this. There's three things that stood out to me just in terms of how he developed Visions. Just the whole album, I guess. The whole, album. And just how he develops the whole story that goes along with the album. Three things. Three elements. First element is time. Time, perception, and scope. Alright? Time, perception, and scope. Those are the three things that stood out to me the most. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Now, as far as time is concerned, he used it in a unique way in that he had a linear storyline. He had one linear storyline. Then he had another linear storyline. And then at the end of the second linear storyline, he matched it up with the linear storyline he already started. Alright, so that's how that worked. And that was just a beautiful thing in how it worked. But you just had to be paying attention to it. So one more time. He had one storyline and had it kind of stop abruptly. Then he had a second storyline that started way, way farther in the past. That went up and it matched up with the storyline that he started at. So we get that thing going on where he starts with the first rap. Now, we had this introduction thing where he was basically rapping and just being, just spitting like Akala type deal, and that was the introduction. And in that introduction / monologue, whatever you want to call it, it kind of reminded me of a Shakespeare monologue, to be totally real with y'all. But in that, it kind of set the stage for what he was about to do, which my introduction should do, just like an essay. And he started basically talking about things that are just wrong with the world. Wrong with how we see things, wrong with how we promote things. But wrong with how we see things is the big one, alright? It's how we see things. That's big. And that's going to go into the next thing I'm talking about with perception. He starts off that, and that sets the stage for what he's about to do. And then in his first rap, which is, I guess, was part one. I'm thinking it would be part one, but he might have counted the introduction acapella thing as part one. So part one, part two, whatever you want to call it. In the first rap that he actually does, he raps about his childhood. And that took me by surprise because, first off, this thus far has been the most introspective rap I've seen of him yet. This has been the most reflective rap of his personal life I've seen of him yet. Now, I'm pretty sure every rapper out there, especially like grime rappers and stuff like that, gotta eventually talk about their own lives, their own experiences. But this has been the most I've seen of Akala, focusing on his own life story and what meaning he can try to derive from his own life story and what meaning he can try to give other people from his own life story. And that took me by surprise. That I wasn't expecting, but it was really cool. And he talked about being beaten up and being hurt and being, I'm pretty sure he was saying his skull being bloodied and by other kids or just other people around him, that he was, like he said, his head getting slammed to the pavement. That stuck out to me. And I'm like, damn. And then he goes into talking about his mother. He said, talking about how she was getting sicker, hair thinning out. And you get that image just in your head. One, of the bloody kid, one. And then two, eventually of a mother that probably wanted to do her best to take care of that bloody kid, or that kid that was there and eventually probably couldn't do it as well as they could because of aging, because of sickness, because of whatever the circumstance. And it's like, wow, that, and then on top of that, I think he said it like maybe one or two lines, was a single income or something like that. So single mother or single income or whatever the situation would be, rough childhood, just in general, and just a crucible, almost a crucible in which, in order to survive, you had to really become a really thick-skinned person, somewhat, not like an intense super thug OG, but just a resilient person that could deal with a whole lot and manage to just persevere and just continue on and strive on at a young age. That is something you can't really teach. It's something that you're just instilled with, you just grow with, you just innately have. And that is, wow, that's just a lot in itself. Alright? That's just a lot in itself. So we start off with that imagery. Then we go on to the second one. The second rap. And the second rap is where I say perception starts, the theme of perception starts to take over. And take over really big, in a big way. Where he starts to talk about his experience, I guess probably now as either a late teenager or an early adult or mid adult or something like that, where he's now talking about and describing trying to rob somebody. And once again, that took me back. That you had this guy that's going out spreading all these great messages, going out and trying to just be good and just be a positive role model and all this and that. And then you just mean to tell me this dude has a past of roughing up other people? That took me back. I was not expecting that, y'all. That, wow. But he ends it in a unique way. It wasn't, and he ends it in a unique way that justifies why he tells that story. And he tells this story with and he explains why he tells the story in the very last, I guess we'll say maybe like a little bit of a verse that he had. He said he had looked into the person he tried to rob's eyes. He looked into that person's eyes, and he said he saw the whole universe. He saw. And this goes back to that theme of like the your eyes are the window to your soul, like that type deal. But he said he saw the whole universe, and in that moment we both were gods. I'm like, what? Like, I'm still trying to understand that we both were gods thing. But perspective. He had a strong moment in which they truly looked into each other. In that moment, understood each other, because he said that guy was a robber too, and I was a robber, so we both understood where we each were coming from, and that's what made it such a strong moment, just a strong time that I'm never gonna forget. And in that moment, just that connection is just indescribable, in that sense that almost no one can have that. Unless you've been to those points where you felt like you had to do that. And that's why he put it in a song. Just because he wanted to build up, I guess, the theme, I guess, of empathy. Or the idea of empathy. And what, I guess, might have triggered a change in his life in which he said, okay, I can't keep doing this. Or I can't be sticking with that. And that makes sense if you put that in there in the grand scheme of how somebody's life would have played out. And that works. And it works. Now, I'm still going to probably rewatch that just to understand the full extent of that. Because I heard it, and I heard it, and I took it in. But I didn't fully get that, like, we were gods. And I saw the whole universe. And I'm like, I get looking into somebody. I get even looking through somebody. But looking in one person. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe he said maybe he thought that he looked into this one person and he saw the struggle of all men that's ever been in that type of situation, and maybe that was the point. And maybe that in that feeling of being able to fully internalize and relate to the struggle that this one man had. He could internalize and relate to the struggle that millions of men have had, not only just in the world, but also throughout time. And then that feelings of just being able to just see it all maybe that's what made him say, like, I feel like a god. Or I was a god. Because he could truly take in the struggle and understand the struggle and see the struggle. Like God probably could. And maybe that was what he was trying to get at. It's an interesting line. That's an interesting point. That was a very interesting one. Which was cool. And that was the second one. Then we got into the third one. And I'm trying to pull up the third one and think about that third one. Because as far as I can tell, it was, that third one kind of was like, I don't know if it was shoehorned in with that second one, or if that was the third one and he was counting it. But the number system in this thing just got botched, okay? I'm really going to need to check out them videos and separate them out just so I can truly pick out which was which. But still, that's where that was happening. And then, of course, there was like this last thing where they came back from the break. And then they said, okay, now Akala's about to do numbers 4 and 5. If 4 was what I think 4 was a blip, okay? 4 was just in and out going. And it's like, well, dang, I was kind of hoping that was going to be something, but it wasn't. Which was okay, because 5 was so strong, it probably made up for that, not only 4, but 4 and beyond. Like, if there was a part 6, like 5 could have been literally broken up into part, like a 5 and a 6. Because in the first part of 5, he starts talking. Okay. Once we get to like the whole 4 and 5 after break thing, we do a critical shift where Akala stops talking about himself and the initial storyline that he had. And that's where we had that first storyline where we started here, we go here, and we just like abruptly stop. That's where we, at about 4 or so, when 4 starts, that's when we stop that first storyline. We stop that first storyline. That's over here. Okay. We stop that first storyline. And then we go to 5, in which he goes, he expands the scope of just what he was talking about. He's no longer just looking at his own life. And this is the third point I'm talking about. Scope. Now he's looking at lives of countless other people throughout history. And that's when this becomes very interesting and very just real. Alright? With the end of part 3 and going into the beginning of the part 4, part 5 mashup, we start to develop the third theme of what was going on in that scope. Now, with scope, we no longer start to focus on Akala's personal life, where he was originally looking at his childhood up until his adult life, from I guess 1 through 3, where we have the stories of his childhood going to where he robbed that guy. We're no longer looking at that. Instead, now we're spending, just like like the idea what we had at the end of that second one or the third one where he robbed the guy. We're now looking into other people throughout history and expanding just the field of how we actually look at stuff and how things would have looked like for other people back in the day from their perspective. And it's combining just the level and the scale of where we're gonna draw our attention to just throughout this video and just throughout this album and just throughout this story. And the scale he uses and the scale he goes far back to. He goes back to Africa. He goes back to he goes back to tribes in Haiti. He goes back to the Congo. He then jumps forward to Harlem. He talks about the artists of the Harlem Renaissance. I think he mentioned Cab Calloway, which I thought was really cool. I think he mentioned Dizzy Gillespie, which was cool. He started mentioning other musicians. Then from there, he then goes forward in time, and he goes to talk about Tupac and the other rappers of the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. Then he's following that back up to where we were before in time. So once again, we had the storyline that we had already started with parts 1 through 3. And that was parts 1 through 3, and that was where we were right here. Then he started a second storyline underneath that. It started back from the Haiti and the Congo and all that, up to the jazz, up to the 80s, 90s, and then he finishes it by talking about his mother. And his mother in Jamaican, as he said a line where it's like she's going back in the opposite direction of where our ancestors were taking her from. And that's where it ties back to him, where he starts to talk about his own family and gets back to that. And then that leads us right back to where we started off with his childhood. So, from where we started off from here to here, and then where we ended up from here to here. We did a full circle, just in terms of the time that he had. But in that time that he had, where he took us on that journey throughout time, we had got the chance to see history through the eyes of other people and try to imagine what their perception, their views of things would have been like. And one of the things that he tried to just emphasize was throughout that journey, it's always had to be people willing and wanting to pass on knowledge and pass forth the stories and information to other generations so that it would survive to make it to the day right here in what we now see as our present, but their future. So that was just amazing, and him tying all three of those themes together. Again, time, perception, and scope. Time and how we see things throughout history. Perception is how we see things in general through ourselves and our experiences, but then also how other people see things and how other people throughout history see things. And then scope, just on the grand scale of trying to understand how people in the world see things and understanding empathy for if you are in your situation, for how you in your situation can now relate to other people who have been in the same situation because you had that same shared human experience. The grand scheme of the larger human experience that we call life. That's big, people. That's huge. That's monumental. And honestly, I've only unpacked probably maybe a third of what Akala was trying to unload. I'll probably only hit on maybe a third of what this guy was trying to convey, what he was trying to just inform the public and inform his audience of. And hopefully, hopefully I can actually get to that point where I fully understand it. But it's going to take time. And I'm not going to see this thing once and be like, oh, I got it fully down, pat, boom, let's go. No, that's not happening. I would love to see somebody to say, tell me what y'all think. Tell me what y'all think. Because I would love to see somebody that say, I saw this video and on the first try, boom, got it. I got it all down, full pack, understood it all. And I'd love to see the person that can do that. I'd love it. But this was a lot, man. This was a lot. Oh, man. Alright. Alright. You know what? Akala tried to do reminded me of something, reminded me of a quote that I actually read on this channel a long time ago. Because he's trying to expand people's viewpoints and trying to expand the way we look at things. Because right now, it's almost like we see things through a proverbial keyhole. And he's trying to expand that hole to just broaden our horizons and get us to look at things. So let me just pull this one thing up really quick. It's a poem by Rene Dumas. And okay, got it. All right, so now I got it. Now, this poem by Rene Dumas, it goes like this: you cannot stay on the summit forever. You have to come down again. So why bother in the first place? Just this: what is above knows what is below, but what is below does not know what is above. One climbs, one sees. One descends, one sees no longer, but one has seen. There is an art of conducting oneself in the lower regions by the memory of what one saw higher up. Rene Dumas. Guys, Akala and a lot of the other conscious rappers, Dave, Dave is who I said that with before, and also on a small degree, another degree, or a different level, low key as well. A lot of those three particular grime rappers that I mentioned really have that air, that presence of coming back from a proverbial higher place, a type of higher place in which they're trying to bring knowledge to the masses in the sense that they've seen the other side, they've seen the lights, they've seen the extra thing that other people typically don't get to see. And in that sense, they're trying to expand how we see things and elevate our perception of what we can see things so that we can conduct ourselves better and we can act better. And that is honestly an admirable thing. I find in all of these rappers those particular rappers that actually do that, and it's amazing to me. It's truly amazing to me, honestly. So guys, tell me what you guys think. Honestly, I want to hear it. Before we clock out, though, I had to give my shout outs again. Again, Brian Harkin, thank you so much for having me check out this video. And again, Twain Nell, thank you for having me check out this video. You guys are awesome. I love the support. I love the acknowledgement and just encouragement of everybody that checks out my videos. Guys, this means a lot to me. You don't understand. It truly does. It truly does. Oh, man. This was... and it had super trippy music into it. Almost like a trance, you know? Almost like hypnotism, almost. Just to put that level of estrangement, to just get you to just isolate whatever and just clear out whatever you had in your mind, just so that you could have almost like that blank palette to just better take a new image in, and it just allow you to focus more on Akala and what he was saying and what he was trying to say, and just get you to envision. And that was good. That was a lot. So guys, I'm gonna say this one more time, one last time. I said it a few times. Tell me what you think. This was Akala Visions. Tell me, what do you think? What is your understanding of this particular rap? Because I think this would be interesting if people go out there and say that. What is your understanding of this particular rap? And more importantly, what is the takeaway that we should have with this particular rap and raps like it? Because, you know what, I said raps like it. I don't think there's any rap quite like this. Like, this is like, damn, this is his own thing. But tell me what you guys think. I want to hear you. I want to hear you. My name's Rob Smalls. This has been my reaction to Akala Visions. I'm sorry for taking so long with this, but guys, thank you. Peace. Ciao for now. All right, bye, y'all.